Russia recorded more than 8,000 new COVID-19 cases today. Its total number of cases is now more than 560,000. But the death toll is relatively low, and that's raising suspicions that the data that Moscow is releasing may not be correct. We're joined now by freelance reporter Dan Ashby in Moscow. Dan, thanks for joining us. Let's talk about what we know about Russia's COVID-19 cases and how that correlates to the number of deaths.
John, more than 8,000 new cases here every day, more than 500,000 in total, and Russia is the third biggest outbreak in the world, and yet they've only recorded about 7,000 deaths. So there are more and more reports that Russian officials are falsifying the numbers. Compare to the USA, for instance, that has seen more than 115,000 deaths. Yes, that's a bigger outbreak, but 7,000 just seems so low. So take how they record their deaths. There are some differences. Russian officials often require a death certificate, for instance, and they often don't record deaths of people with underlying health conditions as being linked to COVID-19. They are looking at that and they may be changing it so the deaths may go up, but they are still incredibly low. And as I say, there are these reports that pathologists are playing the numbers down because of pressures to meet internal targets, and they are simply massaging the figures because of political pressure. Now, the authorities here fiercely deny that. They say the death numbers are low because of Russia's response, because it went into lockdown early, but those suspicions have not gone away.
Meanwhile, politics gets involved here with a referendum coming up that would allow President Putin to stay in power for years longer. How is all this playing in?
Yes, exactly. You can imagine what it's like living here in Moscow, for instance. First of all, you hear the Moscow mayor saying, look, they're not going to ease any of the restrictions until coronavirus case numbers are down in the tens or hundreds. Then you suddenly hear President Vladimir Putin saying they're going ahead with a mass referendum, millions of people going out to vote on the 1st of July, as you say, to vote over whether there should be more terms that he could contest. And then we suddenly hear that the lockdown has completely gone in Moscow, that all restrictions are lifted. So huge suspicions that Russia is just going ahead with the referendum despite all the risks of coronavirus. President Putin's polling is certainly falling, but the referendum will go ahead.
Thanks for this, Dan. Dan Ashby reporting from Moscow.
Hey, I'm Tom Power. Join me for a fantastic finale of our show where I speak to friends like Chaos, Mark Critch, and Tatiana Maslany about how this country is opening up. Watch What Are You At? Tonight at 8 on CBC and CBC Gem.